Won't capture. There we go. Hello, hello. For those who might be watching this on the YouTube, as I've been putting up put up the VOD for the last time I played this game on YouTube, so I'll be putting this one up as well. Welcome back. For those who are catching up just live with me here or watching in some other way, welcome, welcome. This is the Fermi Paradox. I played this for a little bit yesterday. We'll be continuing our game that we started yesterday with the couloir and all of those other things. We had singing dinosaurs, we had tatted up dinosaurs, we had all dinosaurs everywhere. It was all sorts of fun times. But yeah, let's just get right into it, because it was a fun sort of game. Now, for those who are completely unfamiliar with this game, Fermi Paradox is basically about being I believe they called it a galactic gardener of a sorts, basically making sure that the galaxy is in fact safe for multiple different civilizations to come together and talk together and all this other sort of thing. So you sort of guide different civilizations through their early parts of development into, hopefully, space travel and beyond. In which case, they may run into other civilizations out there. They may create colonies that turn into their own civilizations, and then they have to deal with that. And kind of the main goal is that you're trying to guide at least 4 of these disparate little civilizations to sort of a particular technological age at the end, in which case they will be considered, you will have considered to have basically solved the Fermi Paradox, which, if you're not aware, is a real thing. The Fermi Paradox is essentially, and I'm probably oversimplifying it, but it's basically a way of trying to understand why, if the universe is as infinite as we think it is, we have not come into contact with any other sentient life. And the idea being is that the paradox portion of that is that life may actually be so inherently violent as to sort of end itself before it actually finds any other sentient life out there. So this is basically trying to prove that, or the gameplay portion of this is trying to make it so that you can get past that particular paradox. So we have 4 disparate factions or disparate little areas here in our particular game. We have the Couloir Scholar Commonwealth. These are kind of the first people that we came sort of evolved for us. They're a Lightspeed Age species that has 2 distinct colonies that have turned into their own things. They've had all sorts of fun stuff happen to them. They've gone from basically tribal places to being very much like a meritocracy, which is why they're called the scholar systems, all the way on up. Apparently they have funky jams too. Turn that down a little bit though. Here we go. Alright, and then we have the Traveler Zones, which is the first attempt that the Couloir actually sent out there on an ARC ship. They landed here and have been growing ever since, and have occupied the Dog Star as their home planet. Fortunately, they have been a little bit over-indulgent on their resources, which means that they may be may have a problem here pretty soon. We then have the Angerman faction, which is another Couloir faction. They landed here on a massive fleet just recently, and unfortunately a Traveler Arc ship came over here too and saw them, freaked out, and started attacking them, so that didn't end well. And then finally we have the fan favorites from last stream, the Dinosaurs of Earth. These guys are also known as the Marked because they are so into marking up themselves with tattoos of basically all of their different ancestors' sort of points and stuff like that. So they have been doing quite well for themselves over here. Just in the nautical age, they haven't gone to space yet. We don't have space dinosaurs yet, sadly. So And again, if you weren't here for the last time in terms of how to actually play this, these little points on the well, I guess they're called the board here, represent synthesis points. These are points that you can actually bank and then use for decisions that happen with all these different things. The ones that have like symbols on them will change these values. So this one, for instance, will make it so that any war that happens will increase the harm potential, which will mean that they will hurt themselves more if they actually go to war. This one will reduce the amount of available resources. And of course, the question mark is just a random event. So let's get right back into it. It pauses when there is actually these little flares out, so you have to click one in order to actually move on with the storyline here. Dynamic wind patterns create marvelous structures on the surface of the Greece Sea. Let's see, increase some tech for our traveler zone people here. Oh, good. And some support systems. I want to focus on these guys because they are going to have a problem if we don't give them more resources soon. Support zones. Ah, good. There you go. So every now and again, this also happens. This is one of those things where you will get something like a development event. This is for the Colonial Expedition, which is another spaceship that Kular sent out. And of course, it's potentially a bad one. Ship destruction, we've seen this before. Shielding of the fusion reactor on the Kular Colonial Expedition develops a tiny undetected fissure. Any expansion of the breach could trigger a chain reaction and possibly destroy the entire ship. Oh no! Hey there, Shark! You caught me right after I explained everything, of course. This is the Fermi paradox. In short, we are guiding different species throughout a galaxy, and hopefully they will all work together and be harmonious, and that's kind of the goal here, is to eventually get 4 species up to a certain tech level without all of them killing each other. So that's what we're kind of attempting to do. But it's mostly just a narrative fun game about, well, both coolness and sometimes horribleness. As you can tell from the music, this is a bad one because we could lose basically all of the people on this particular ARC ship that is going out to colonize another area. And in fact, we kind of have to, considering we don't have enough synthesis points down here for the close call. So unfortunately, we're going to have minimal survivors on this particular expedition. So that's going to go down precipitously. Yeah, see? It's going to go down and down and down and down and down. So unfortunately, on this ARC ship, does that count as a war crime? No, because unfortunately, that was just this ship had a problem. It was like a fissure in the shielding of the fusion reactor caused a massive explosion, and most of the colonist crew died. The robotic technician who delayed the catastrophic event, yada yada, apparently went away. Yeah, as I was explaining, there's we have 4 different societies of a sort right now. The one that everyone loved from the last stream, and this is a second stream of this, just so you know, was the Marked, which are the dinosaurs from Earth that have gotten really into tattooing themselves with sort of the history of their ancestors, which is the reason why they're called the Marked. They are just at a nautical age, so they're kind of our earliest ones that we have here. We have 3 different factions that all originally came from this homeworld here on Regal 7. These are the Kular, and they are in the Lightspeed age, and they're the furthest ones along. They've done everything from like I said, colonizing different worlds to at one point they had an issue where they started not having as many babies because they all got addicted to pornography. That was kind of funny. But that at their core, they are a meritocracy based upon basically who is the smartest, which has done them pretty well so far. The future, yes, pretty much. The Traveler Zones are the second Kular group that we had. These, they basically started worshipping the idea of sort of the original space travelers that came before them, which is the reason why they're called the Travelers. they had an issue where they sent out an arc ship down to the last one here. The Endermen, who originally came from the Kular the homeworld, they landed here at the same time that the Traveler ship basically showed up, and they had a big battle, and a lot of people died, unfortunately, so rip. But yeah, in general, what will happen is that, like I said, we collect synthesis and things like that from different events that happen, minor events that happen, and then every now and again you see down here things like a new technological age or other development age or development scenarios will pop up and will present us with a choice of particularly like, you know, hey, how do you want this particular group to move forward in this instance? So in this case, our travelers that I just talked about have also reached the Lightspeed era, which is just like their forebears over there back on Regal 7. So racing into the Lightspeed age, interstellar journeys are shortened from centuries to mere decades. Traveler civilization sets new speed records in areas such as quantum state computing, light jet manufacturing, and mining for resources from faraway planets. We were told that everything would be chrome in the future. There is actually a solar punk age that we missed, or that you missed. That's, I think, the right before Lightspeed age. So I think most things would be pretty chrome during that one. Alright, so we can either have them focus on wisdom, which will cost us nothing, which will increase their science, as well as their ethical values, which will move into more utopian. We can spend some synthesis and get them focusing on advancement, which is probably the smart thing, because, yeah, they're going to run out of resources in 6 years if there's, if nothing else happens. And then, yeah, then there's power, which will basically mean that they're more warmongery, but it will give us more synthesis points. But I think we should really just go for advancement in this particular case. And sometimes I'll point to chat, because we have chat here, and give you an idea or give you a choice in what we're actually doing. But for the most part, if it's something is like that, I'll basically just choose it. How fast is time to work in this game? Well, once I click one of these, it'll unpause, and you'll see exactly how fast those years go down. Watch. Oh, well, didn't actually this time. Okay, normally this goes actually pretty fast. It seems like it's like 3 or 4 years, kind of like every second sort of deal. It's you're going through a lot of history very quickly. Oh, Enderman, the last one, I think. Yep, also reached Lightspeed age. So now all of the Kulars on their disparate colonies and things like that all Lightspeed age. These are pretty much going to have to do wisdom. Yeah, I guess we could do power and have them. You know what? I might do power in this one because they are pretty utopian as is. So going a little bit further down in utopia is not going to murder them too bad. And ditto for their potential casualties here. So yeah, I think I'm going to go power and bank some of those synthesis points. So you see those go up. The Andromeds can now build extraplanetary cities throughout the Alpha Andromeda system, colonizing even gas planets and stellar coronae. Ah! And of course, the crowd favorite, the Marked, have a development issue as well. A paradigm shift on Earth. Powerful reaches establish naval trading routes across the oceans of their home planet. A powerful stock company is funded as a result, with an aim to forming a maritime trade monopoly across the most lucrative regions of Earth. Space strip clubs. I don't know if they're doing space strip clubs. These guys actually haven't taken off into space quite yet. So they're in like sort of the age of sail is basically where they're in right now. So you got pirate dinos instead. So it's more like Tortuga. You'd have basically like Cuban strip clubs. Dino Cuban strip clubs. Okay, so I can say Cultural Ascendant, which was basically gives us bonuses to just about everything. In which case the text here is a profit-oriented, ocean-spanning monopoly would do a lot of harm to the weaker reaches of the market. After protests from thinkers and potentates, the company is dissolved and its assets used to fund academics overseas. Or you can do cultural expansion, which increases people, but at the cost of a lot of resource usage, which in their case might be a bad thing. But in that one, it's the reign of the powerful trading companies is short, but very profitable. Their financial success inspires an era of maritime exploitation and the establishment of countless trading posts all over Earth. And then you have cultural descent, which, after taking control of Earth's naval routes, the trading company becomes an independent faction with its own sovereign territory and trading navy. The old failing reaches and competing companies build up war fleets to regain control of their sea regions, which is basically like the East India Company is what this basically is, like the real world equivalent of. I would say we have the points for it. I think we're going to go cultural ascendant unless chat wants to do something else, but I will warn you, if we do basically anything else but this, they may run it. Well, actually, especially if we do this one, they'll probably run out of resources pretty quick, and we had that before. We lost our other dinos to a resource war. They killed each other waiting for resources. Let the dinos survive. Yeah, I think it's a good. I think that's probably a common refrain here. So we'll give the dinos the best chance. We'll spend some more synthesis and let the dinos have a good chance here. The land region on Earth recovers under the care of marked landscapers. Conflict between two major marked reaches is settled peacefully. Ah, marked reaches is okay. So the reaches is the name of their like system of government. Oh, oops. No, go back. No, go back. We'll do that. We need them to go to space to fund space dino strip clubs. Yeah, I mean, sure. But yeah, so we did have two other species at one point. The Maru were the other fan favorites from the first one. They were a group of like also kind of dino-like people. They were like raptors that basically came into prominence and then started to teach each other via song. So they're like really into singing. So they're like singing space dinos. But unfortunately, as the flavor text here says, the Maru who used to live in the Tau Ceti system eradicated themselves in a horrific battle. This cruel war was triggered by coal wars, environmental destruction, and loss of resources. The Maru left nothing worthwhile behind, just a barren wilderness on Tau Ceti 3. So they basically blew each other up for coal, which was bad news for everybody. And then we had on Gliese, we had ones. It was a called the Rao, but the Rao basically got dominated by a predator animal that went and basically ate all of them, which was not fun for everybody. In space. Oh. Yeah, I was waiting for this. Speaking of resource crises, we have one unfortunately within the Travelers. Gas giant reservoirs are becoming scarce in the Syria system. The effects of ecclesial exploitation brought the Travelers' civilization to a breaking point. While they are dealing with a resource scarcity, will the Commonwealth find ways to prevent the complete exhaustion of their environment? Or will they turn against each other? Uh-oh. So we can't do precaution, which is the kind of nicest one for this particular one. So we can either have a crisis, or just go to war. It's some pretty bleepity bloopity fight music, yeah. So the helium scarcity will be the Travelers pick up their magnetic rifles and fight over access to the remaining gas giant reservoirs. Military defense installations destroy entire sacred cities in the so-called helium wars. Or we can do crisis, which is scarcity causes discord and competition among the Travelers. Knowledge diminishes while the Commonwealth of Sirius compete for the dwindling resources. And yeah, wars are kind of a big deal. You get a lot of casualties real quick. So, do we want to try our hand at the dice, or do we want to just go to war and bank the synthesis for later? What do you think, chat? Shark wants me to commit war crimes. I mean, the thing is that there's a chance for hostilities regardless if on this crisis roll. So we could commit war crimes even if we try to go for a roll here. Juice's crisis. I tend to agree with Drew, so I will be the tiebreaker here. We'll do the crisis roll. We'll see what happens. We'll let it decide whether or not there's going to be horrific war crimes. Ah, mitigation in Sirius. They may have actually solved their problem. The infrastructure of Traveler Society is falling apart because gas giant reservoirs are becoming scarce. Many technological advancements are not sustainable anymore. Research cities are left behind, and the people of Sirius are trading knowledge for survival. But yeah, see, so we can have there's a regular mitigation, but that's going to get us only a small amount of resource bonus for like a regular amount of loss of science. Or we can do a strong mitigation, which I think is probably what we want to do, where we get a lot more resources, but they'll be a little stupider. We can also make them real stupid, but I don't know if we really want to do that. I think we're going to go with strong mitigation in this particular case. Only give him a little brain damage, yeah. Oh, Kolar Scholar comes. Okay, so this is the original guys now. This is their original homeworld. Knowledge in Regal. Is that their brain or their hair? They're like pig, like orcs, I think, pretty much. I believe it's their hair, but I don't really know, so I'm gonna go with Drew, and the answer is yes. Alright. The Kular create panels of scientific experts to guide policy decisions. All legislation is reviewed by the scientific community, who explore its potential impacts using meticulously detailed simulations. That's because they're real big on the smartest ruling. I can't do it as a civilization pillar, but we could do this one, which... A science-informed approach to government policy advances the Kular, accelerating the speed of research and new discoveries. I think that's kind of the most role-playing specific one that would make sense for these guys, because like I said, they're called the Scholar Commonwealths. They're real big on knowledge. Start making a little bit of synthesis here for our next big decision, whatever that might be. Oh, didn't actually show. This is the Colonial Expedition, by the way. This is the Ark ship that's heading off to the Gliese system for to make another colony for the Kular. So when this came up, this is the one that had the massive problem where a lot of Kular died. That right there, right over there, that little teeny thing, is where they are right now. What happens if I run out of synthesis? Nothing. You just can't choose. You just can't choose anything that actually costs synthesis if you don't have it. So there are certain, as you saw, there are certain choices that cost like 20 to 30 synthesis. If I don't have that amount, regardless of whether I have 0 or just 29, then I can't choose that answer. So there are certain like really good options on events that you sometimes cannot choose because you don't have the correct amount of synthesis. So, and yes, someone in the last stream that I did called these said that they looked like the prophets from Halo. So I was like, yeah, it's kind of true. But yeah, all of the space, when the Kular go to space, they all wear these gas masks. It's kind of funny. I want to see what the dinosaurs wear. The faces look so punchable. I don't know, I'm kind of, maybe it's just because I've been playing this game for a couple hours now and with this particular group of people, but I'm kind of starting to grow on the Kulars. They're all right. Oh, speaking of the decolonial expedition. Kular power. Over the decades of their journey, the clone commandos of the Kular colonial expedition do not have enough combat practice or any experience of a real military conflict. Fusion engineers propose to start cloning the best military clone officers on board. We're gonna clone the clones? So I'm fairly certain the clone officers already control this particular group of dudes. But you know what? Screw it, I'm gonna cause them to have absolute power. Clone commandos. The clones are not only superior in combat, but also skilled clone officers. Slowly they take over the command of the Kular colonial expedition and all vital positions among the colonist crew. Yes, give me that synthesis. Alright, Dino's doing. Let's talk about other ones for a second. Oh, they're just about going up to the next stage here, so they're going to be moving on into that pretty soon. And yep, there it goes. The dinosaurs are now in the industrial age. The marked start to study electricity, steam power, and machine manufacturing in the industrial age. Harnessing the power of radio waves might allow them to send signals into outer space. But this civilization could accidentally eradicate itself as weapons development thrusts forward. Interference with the planet poses a serious threat to the ecosystem that has sustained markedity throughout the ages. Ooh, I would kind of want them to be advancement, but can't afford that, sadly. So I think I want to do wisdom instead. We'll have to... It's not a bad choice. They're still pretty dystopic. I want to move them towards Utopia. Oh. The Enderman divisions. Growth and Alpha Andromeda. The Endermans are now able to prevent and cure any kind of sexually transmitted disease with a nanorobotic system injected into the skin. Free from the fear of infecting themselves and others with harmful afflictions, society can take a much more unrestricted stance towards sexuality. Can you come back to those options with more? No. Yeah, that's the thing, is that you have to choose right then, right now. I have a feeling I know precisely what everyone wants in this one, which is, yes, make sexuality a civilization pillar. Offering lifelong STD protection with a single shot, the new medical technology shatters all sexual taboos within a generation. Uninhibited fornication leads to a constant rise in population numbers. It's just going to fuck. What the traders doing over here? Traders are still... it's still a little... in terms of their resources here. That's our original joke. See, these guys are fine. They've been fine since the beginning. They have, resources for days. They're making huge amounts of themselves. They're doing great. Every time with this one, it doesn't want to. Oh, Traveler Commonwealth has a development event. Let's see what they have. Reduction in Sirius. The mass scientists of Travelers develop a new plants that could produce natural polymer capable of replacing the synthetic materials used in the Sirius system. Ah. Ooh. That is going to help them a lot. We're going to have to make this a civilization pillar because that's going to help the resource issue hugely. Plastic plants thrive in the environmentally degraded land regions of Dogstar and create a completely new fascinating ecosystem. Oh yeah, by the way, they're on a planet called Dogstar. Dogstar. I thought you would enjoy that. Oh hey, the marked over here became democracies at some point. That's interesting. Democratic dinos. Every time with that particular, every time I click on that one, it just goes straight to it. Oh, our little colonial expedition is almost there in terms of Gleese. So we might have that show up pretty soon here. Oh, this is our home world again. Oh, depopulation. The Kular physique is not suited for traveling at close to light speed. Long-term effects can lead to deterioration of the nervous system and untimely death. Uh-oh. That's not good. Honestly, depopulation might not be the worst thing for them, and it will give me a lot of synthesis, because their growth is pretty intense. It's not a war crime time, it's genetic issues. Lightspeed travel is harmful to Kular on a genetic level. Eventually, even offspring of Kular who never went into space start experiencing nervous degeneration, and many of them die. Yeah, sorry, rip Kular. Yeah, see, it went from like 50 to like 40 growth potential. That's not that bad. Discovers a way to set the police system. Oh. Alright, let's go talk to our dinos. Yeah, they're pretty close to getting up in age again. Oh. Floating expedition is a development event. Talking about Kular power again. The robotic technicians of the Kular colonial expedition create a sophisticated prototype of an autonomous invasion android, an effective killing machine that can be injected into hostile societies or board enemy ships. The clone captain of the Kular colonial expedition is debating whether the colonist crew can spare resources to produce more invasion bots. I would say probably not, but maybe. Let's see. Oh, they actually have resources. Oh, that's right, because a lot of them died, so. What do you think? Should we make them have not only clone troopers, but invasion bots? They're going to be just a society of the most armed, like, 1,000 dudes ever to be put on a planet. All clone commandos are replaced by invasion androids. The colonist crew embraces the presence of state-of-the-art killer robots in every aspect of their day life. Sure. Give me them robots. This will go well. Yeah, just horse. Yeah, instead of clone, we started with clone commandos, and then now it's just invasion robots. So it's basically like 1,000 dudes with robot friends, and they're all clones, and they all just hate. It's just full of hate. It will go totally well when they start making a society later on. Yep, here we go. And speaking of, they just reached their destination. The Kular arrive on Gliese. Kular Colonial Expedition lands safely on Gliese Sea to build a colony. The goal of the Kular is to establish a mining base to extract resources from beneath the planet's crust. So we can have them have... Honestly, perfect success is probably a good idea because... otherwise they're going to die off very quickly. So I might need to spend those points right now in order to have them have a successful actual landing. There we go. Yeah, see, now they actually have growth. Because they started off with like a couple, I think actually over 1 billion, and now they're up to 1,000 people. There was a lot of people that were on that ship that ended up dying. Oh, new technological age for our marked ones. The dinos are nuclear able. Nuclear dinos. When rocket technology begins to take off, the race for space dominance among the emerging superpowers of Earth is on. The threat of marked extinction looms over even heavier on the horizon as they delve into the secrets of the atom. Meanwhile, in suburbia, the masses are unsure whether to be frightened or excited about the social upheaval about to shake up their notions of sexuality, drug use, and civil rights. Also, rock and roll could become a thing. Probably want to do advancement because the resources are looking a little... Also, yes, rock and roll dinos. So the Kulan mining base over here, we've got the... Where's the Traveler Commonwealth, all these good ones. Main thing I'm waiting for now is at some point the Mark states are going to go into space too, and that's going to be an interesting one considering the Kular have met themselves and had a problem with it. I don't know what they were going to make out of meeting sentient dinos. Oh, Angerman divisions. Ooh, I think they're the first ones to actually get there. The Angermans have reached the singularity age. The Angermans create machines capable of recursive self-improvement. These constructs can build even more powerful copies of themselves autonomously, growing their potential with each generation. The path to true artificial intelligence is clear. Ooh, may have to use advancement here too, considering they're coming up a little bit. Machines transform themselves to take on tasks such as cleaning up the environment, building Angerman habitation, and acting as caretakers for the elderly. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Oh, here's the mining base. Uh-oh. Gliese is sending signals back into space. Isolated in space, the Kular invaders long for contact with others. A lone colonial scientist is using the colony communication system to send out a status update about life in the Gliese system to the stars. Alright, I think I want to do a signal boost on this one. I kind of want to see what happens. I want to see them... what happens once this broadcast actually gets here. So, the colonial scientist wants to show the entire galaxy that the Kular made the Gliese system their home. Colonial updates are broadcast to the entire galaxy. Bum, bum, bum. So there it is. There's a radio broadcast. It's going out. We will see how that goes. Considering last time One time it basically did nothing at all. Like these guys, the original travelers, sent one back to their homeworld once, and it was actually received pretty well. There was like, you know, cultural people and stuff like that. The Andromen sent one off and almost caused the like entire collapse of the Traveler Society when they realized, like, wait, we're not the only colonists out here. What? Hmm. Let's see what the mark ones are up to here. Yeah, their resources are looking pretty good. Okay. And what about our travelers? Also looking not terrible. Oh, here we go. Oh no! A great war threatens Sirius. Apparently the Empire showed up because it's definitely a Star Destroyer in the background, but whatever. Access to the vast resources of Sirius's gas giants is vital to many factions of the Travelers. A military incident over a gas mining colony leads to interplanetary war. Alright, so we have the option to potentially just say, nah, we're actually going to be a bit more peaceful and this war doesn't really matter too much. We can have them do a regular war or total war. Both of these may cause some pretty bad stuff for them, though. I mean, total war, for example, will cost 7.7 billion casualties. So, like I said, we have the synthesis to just be like, nah, actually. But I will leave this one up to chat. What are we doing, chat? We're gonna throw these guys into war. Or we're gonna just spend our synthesis for peace. Give them total war. All right. Yes. No, there's regular war. It's like, oh, this is just war. This only kills 2.6 billion people. And then there's total war, which is like, oh no, this is 7.7 billion people. This is real bad. All right. I think we're going to have. I think the Shark has decided. He has cast a die, and the die has said, total war. With the destruction of their valuable mining resources, the Traveler factions attack each other with full power. This results in a constant war over access routes to the gas planets. Research of remarkable nuclear scientists encoded into sophisticated tattoos, which grow popular among the marks. Martin enjoy an enchanting new style of movies. Oh. Homeworld's having development. Homeworld's building spaceships again. Where they want to send it to this time. World? Oh, this is different. We've had arc ships before and we've had fleets, but we never had a world ship. The Kula are able to construct a titanic interstellar spacecraft, housing a self-contained environment with its own internal atmospheric systems, artificial landscapes, and agricultural ocean sections. The mission goal is to reach the Vex system. So here we are, chat. We can either say, yes, we will have an epic project where the Titan ship has the resources and ecosystem of a little planet and is able to bring half of the population of the Regal system towards Vex. So that'll bring fully like 20 billion people to a new planet. Or we could just have a regular development where the construction is successful and many Kular become inhabitants of the world ship. Will they ever want to leave the comfort of their interstellar vessel when they arrive years later in the Vex system? Or we can just have it be a dead end and then they don't go to Vex, but that's no fun. So which one of these two? Do we want to have a big ship or just a normal ship? Who says big ship? Big ship, big ship. All right, big ship it is. Here it is, the Titan ship. Yep, 28.2 billion Kular, and of course they didn't bring nearly enough resources. That's going to be a problem, but we'll see how that goes, I guess. Well, hello there, one little bookman. I'll catch you up. We are currently playing one Fermi Paradox. That is a game where we are basically, it describes our role as a galactic gardener, where we are trying to make it so that enough civilizations are able to reach basically kind of end tech areas through choosing narrative choices. Basically trying to make sure that they don't either destroy themselves or destroy each other during their development. Right now we have the Kular who controlled this kind of area of space. They started out over here. This is their home world. They sent a arc ship to go over here. That became kind of its own civilization. And then they sent another big group of people over here to the Enderman circuits, or to the Andromeda section. And they've just laid it on Gliese. And of course, then we have, and I will always say it because it's always true, the fan favorites, which is we have currently nuclear dinos, which have been called the Marked, because early on in their development, these dinosaurs got really into writing their history as tattoos onto themselves. So it's a bunch of really tattooed up dinosaurs. Nuclear powered dinosaurs, pretty much, yeah. So you can see kind of parts of their history here being said here too. So there was like feudal land ownership was true for the dinosaurs for a little bit. I'll see if that moves on to another thing here. Should eventually. Maybe if I click again. There we go. Yeah, already during the first attempts of establishing maritime trading companies, the Mark set up strong anti-monopoly laws to prevent the forming of profit-oriented structures that could operate outside of the oversight from breaches. So, essentially, the way you actually interact with the world is you see these little things. These are like synthesis points, where you can either just get the point themselves, which can be used in events to get better options. You can have these ones, which will increase certain aspects of the society itself. So this one, for instance, will increase the resources. So you see that just went up. There's ones that'll have negatives. Those will get you even more synthesis points. And of course, the last way that you can involve yourself is in events that we hopefully will have one of these pop up pretty soon here, where it's basically like a development event will happen and it'll show off like, okay, this is what's happening on this particular world. And if you're wondering what this is the mining base that was established recently. They decided to send off a radio signal basically to the rest of the galaxy saying, yes, we have Gliese, it's Kular now, so, you know, get at us. The Titan ship we just launched has a development event. Kular Injustice. A clique of cruel officers brought themselves into positions of power on the Kular Titan ship and used their authority to torment the weakest of the colonist's crew. Nobody gets killed, but daily life aboard the Titan ship will become horrible if this is allowed to continue. Uh-oh. Good, we can just do prevention. They're pretty high in Utopia. We probably could eat it, but I'm just gonna say screw these officers. The colonist crew threatens to revolt against the officers, and the scholar commander agrees to throw them out of the nearest airlock. Yeah, screw those guys. Well, that Titan ship is schmoving. I guess they are in Lightspeed era, so that makes sense, but still. Ah, our dinosaurs have a development event this time. Enlightenment in Soul. The marked have disenfranchised ethnic minorities and legalized racial discrimination against them. Resistance campaigns and grassroots protests against the states are rising all over Earth, demanding the abolition of segregation laws and the end of structural racism. Let's see, hopefully we have enough points to... Yeah! No. You can actually, yeah, I was gonna say, there's you guys the civilization pillar though you can choose to basically just say discrimination laws are abolished and mark society is transformed by the civil rights movement. Class systems are dismantled by settlements, land-based compensation, and community restructuring. This actually happened to the Kular too. So both of our main groups of people now are basically just like racism actually nah. Some synthesis for our next one because you had to use a lot of that to get rid of dino racism, which, you know, a valuable thing to use that on. Oh. Growth in Alpha Andromeda. Gene manipulation is increasing the regenerative abilities of Andromen flesh. Any tissue damage repairs itself in a short time, and even severe organ failure can be prevented by automatically regrowing replacement organs inside the bodies of the Andromens, multiplying their lifespan tenfold. Well, we can't do the civilization pillar, but that's probably a good thing, because I don't think we really need to have them growing that much. They already had their sexual awakening. Putting on redundant hearts, yeah, basically. Although this time they're making their own redundant hearts. The regenerative flesh doesn't solve all Andromen health problems, and severe injuries can still be fatal, but the life expectancy does slowly increase. Yeah, I think it's fair enough. Their growth is high, but it's not... It could be a little higher without hopefully ruining them. And in the meantime, having them have regenerative flesh is probably a good thing. Oh, I think this means our scholars, yep, have also reached the singularity age now. Well, we can't, unfortunately can't do advancement, but we can do wisdom. I think wisdom's probably the smart one to do with this one. Self-learning AI is able to process data and innovate faster than any Kular scientist. Breakthroughs in all fields of research happen almost daily. Yep. Uh-oh. Resources crisis on the Titan ship. The Kular are out of resources! No! That's what you get for sending half of your population out into space without food. Like, what are you doing? The Kular have done the unthinkable and used up all available resource storage on the Kular Titan ship. It is no longer possible to provide for the living quarters of their Titan ship, and the colonist crew will soon fall apart. That means it dismantled crucial systems to survive this crisis. Well, Well, let's see. I guess complete extension is just what it sounds like. That means that all of these people will die. So let's at the very least roll the dice and see what happens here. Chaos and panic lead to the complete disintegration of the Kular. Will they take their mass drivers and destroy each other, or find a more encouraging way to deal with the demise of their Titan ship? Lost development of the Kular. The Kulinar colonist crew regresses because they have no access to resource storage anymore. Relevant technology is lost, the mass scientists are forgotten, and the Kular regress to traditional ways of life in order to survive in their decaying titanship. Artifacts of the glorious past cannot be replicated anymore and are in high demand. Have we somehow managed to make the Kular version of the Dark Age of technology? At least with amongst these guys. Oh yeah, pretty much. Because look at all that negative science that's going to happen. So the Epic ship put a lot of people onto it, but for some odd reason, and I noticed this when it launched, they didn't add nearly enough resources to it. I don't know why. So like 28 billion Kular went up into space on this Titan ship, and then they were like, "All right, just have fun." And they're like, "But we only have food for like 20 years. Like, what? This isn't going to work." And lo and behold, it didn't work. Oh, yep, Shark put that, ding that on the war crime meter. Titan ship crumbles apart and the Kular colonist crew fall back into ruined modules. Without molecular computers, the old knowledge and technology fades, making it hard for many Kular to survive. Yep, they're going to regress back to the digital age. Oh wow, that's 3 ages ago. Holy crap. Yeah, they're not looking so hot. Although they do have a lot of resources now because they had to basically eat themselves. I don't think you really have to say that you don't enjoy war crimes. I think that should hopefully be a given. I realize that unfortunately it isn't always, but it should be. It should be a given. Oh, the mining base has had a development. Knowledge in Gliese. The Gliese system is very different from Regal, the home system of the Kular colony. Over a generation, the colonial scientists could create an entire new branch of science from their discoveries. Well, unfortunately, we don't have, again, enough to make it a pillar. We could have secrets of the Gliese system. The efforts of the colonial scientists pay off and help to improve the lives of the Kular, the colony, and the Gliese system. I would say that's fair. Aha! Our dinos reached the digital age. Now, by the way, you can say it, Shark. Dino Wi-Fi. The marked are now connected via complex computer systems, satellite networks, and mobile communication devices. Preliminary genetic and biodigital experiments could lead to health improvements and longevity, but caution is advised in these and other uncharted territories. Culturally, the marked may be confronted with techno raves, massively multiplayer online games, and civil rights 2.0 in the digital age. We could probably do wisdom in this particular one. Increase their utopian values a little bit as well as their science. It's not a bad thing. Especially saying they're pretty alright in terms of their resources. QR tattoos? Oh god, yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that would 100% happen with these guys. Just really into sharing like knowledge through tattoos, and now they're in the digital age, like, yep, everyone's getting QR tattoos. They'd be like, hey, here's my genealogy just tattooed on my back. Oh, Traveler Commonwealth have a development event now. Oh no! Extinction in Sirius! The mass scientists of the Sirius system create a technology that lets users experience the most wonderful and perfect dreams when they sleep. The technology, however, soon becomes too appealing to the travelers who don't want to leave their perfect dream world anymore. I think I've read a story like this. Actually, isn't there literally an SCP that is exactly this? I think there is, actually. Yeah, also the Lotus Eaters. Yeah, that's kind of the original version of this. Yeah, you're 100% right. That's kind of the start of this whole trope. It's digital Lotus Eaters, essentially. Oh, actually, close call in this case doesn't actually cost that much, so we might be able to solve this one. The Commonwealth of the Sirius react quickly and outlaw the dream machines. Some machines disappear underground before they can get confiscated. Yeah, that's probably best. I don't want to have them, because otherwise we're going to lose 25.7 billion travelers. That's damn near their entire society dying. So yeah, let's just spend the 10 synthesis and prevent that from happening. Synthesis. Oh, our Andromen now have one. Consumption in Alpha Andromedae. Some of the Andromen circuits use their access to the resources of Alpha Andromedae to enrich their leaders and the population of their orbital habitats. If the Andromens keep up with this abundance of wealth, will they eventually burn through the matter deposits, leaving nothing for the future? Probably. Eat the rich. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have enough for basically just lol eat the rich. But we can probably do, let's see. Most wealthy circuits set up a system in which every habitat inhabitants enjoy a carefully allotted share of their material abundance. So, yeah, kind of. Not quite eat the rich, but we're getting closer. That's unfortunately the best we can afford, and that is unfortunate because their resources are going to go down a little bit, and they don't have a hell of a lot to begin with, but it's better than a complete collapse. Oh. Look, Scholar Clouds? Depopulation again. Smart buildings in the orbital habitats of Regal have provided generations of Kular with efficient and comfortable housing that can be adapted on the fly by a centralized AI. Recently, core systems have deteriorated and gone haywire, making this smart architecture into a death trap. Oh no, the Internet of Things has gone haywire! I can't get into my smart home anymore. It's trying to kill me. Well, we can't do prevention. Honestly, I kind of want to bank some synthesis points because I'm pretty sure that the dinosaurs will probably want to go into space pretty soon, and that's gonna be a problem. So I might, and again, their growth is insane. They can probably stand going down a little bit. So, Buggy AI corrupted the entire Regal System's smart building network over generations. Unable to deactivate it, the Kular had to get used to the horrific reality of being murdered by their own homes. Oh no. So sad. That's the most unintentionally hilarious sentence I've heard in a while. Yeah, it's also kind of macabre, but that's yeah. I guess I can go hand in hand. Some pretty dark humor there. Just, you know, I bought this ring so I can you know, have a look at who was actually ringing my doorbell, and then I came home and I hit my doorbell, and then it just shot me in the face. Like, uh oh. Oh, our Titan ship has a developmental event. Cooler knowledge. Only the best and brightest are selected for the Kular Titan ship mission. Over the many years of travel, they will attempt to pass their wisdom down to the next generation. The colonist crew should eventually be composed of young geniuses eager to learn the secrets of the universe. Well, especially considering they had a massive downgrade in their research because of the fact that it became such a problem. Might not be a worse. I don't know though. Again, it's one of those things where I could have them be more technologically advanced, but dead end sounds like a pretty good thing too, considering, like, once again, I kind of want the synthesis for other things. So I think I'm going to do that one. The living conditions on the primitive spaceship are too harsh for proper education. Members of the new generation focus primarily on maintaining the ship and have little time to appreciate the joys of scientific inquiry. Sorry, Titan ship. Yeah, our epic ship kind of got owned, like, immediately. It was like, yeah, we're gonna launch our epic ship. Oh god, where's all the food, though? And then it's just been, like... It just basically kind of turned into, the, migrant fleet from Mass Effect. We're just gonna have to keep this as, you know, functional as humanly possible in our long voyage to wherever the hell we're going. Let's see how our dinos are doing. Oh. Our travelers have reached probably the singularity area again, yep. Yeah, wisdom's probably an alright one here. Like mining base. Reduction in Gliese. The factions of the Kular are urged by colonial planners to reduce the consumption of resources. If the leaders of Gliese listen to them, the environment of the Kular can be conserved and the exploitation of planetary resource fields reduced. There's not a lot of them, and they have a lot of resources right now. I think I'm just going to stick with regular development for right now. Because, like, with only 250,000 these little dudes, they're going to live for a while. So... yeah, here we go. Cyber dinos. Rapid advancement in artificial intelligence technology augmented and marked. The civilization undergoes drastic changes and reaches new milestones in science, engineering, and the arts. Cyber dinos. Crossing into the realm of AI, marks now have the ability to vastly improve their society and facilitate communication with faraway beings. However, new technology presents great risks as well, so a little extra wisdom couldn't hurt. We call them marked multitudes now over there. That's been fun. Oh no, a great war threatens Alpha Andromedae. Advanced artificial intelligence are growing more involved in the political and economic decisions marked making of the Alpha Andromedae system. Some factions of the Enderman circuits push for harder regulation of AI at all costs. Many circuits depend on the AI, so the situation escalates and will be solved on the interplanetary battlefield. Alright, Shark, are we going to... where is the die going to be cast this time? Also, while I'm waiting for Shark's answer, I will say I added in a few more things that you can all do with your channel points here as well. So if you have not looked at that particular part of my chat in a while, go and take a look. I added some stuff. Regular conflict total war was a lot less time. Yeah, sippy time. Lukewarm diet soda. Alright, so let's, Dark says, regular conflict. I agree. The factions without sophisticated AI support have no chance in this interplanetary conflict. Their habitats are overrun by AI-backed space fortresses, and many Endermans do not survive the AI wars. Rip Endermans. They're going to have resource scarcity too pretty soon here. That's also a problem. Oh. Shark, it's already happened. We've already done the war. I can't go back. we need more casualties. Shark, are you sure you don't actually really like war crimes? Because it seems like you kind of really like war crimes. Marked multitudes make me think their society is one where a majority of people are plural, and that's interesting as fuck. Yeah, actually, that would be kind of cool. I mean, it's one of those things where you could also sort of headcanon this into the multitudes, meaning like all of the different tattoos and stuff like that represent different aspects of yourself through your ancestors and things like that as well. So kind of same deal, plural, but kind of plural throughout the ages. Temporal plurality. Yeah, I mean, they're in the cyber age. Sure, why not? Don't even need QR codes anymore. Just link that shit into my brain. Oh, yeah, that's kind of what it's thinking. Resource crisis on the Andromen. Thankfully, I think we have a lot of banked points, so... Matter deposits are becoming scarce in the Alpha Andromeda system. The effects of AI wars brought the Andromen civilization to a breaking point. While they are dealing with the resource scarcity, will the circuits find ways to prevent the complex exhaustion of their environment, or will they turn against each other? I think we should probably go for precaution in this one. The Andromen circuits prepare for a future without Ingress matter. Will their controller preserve the environment of Alpha Andromeda or deny the people access to essential resources? Conservation! Hey, look at that. We got a good roll on that one. To counter the scarcity of matter deposits in Alpha Andromeda, the optimization controllers of the Endermans are taking control of their circuits. Will they be able to create societies better equipped to deal with AI wars? Yes. Yeah, we'll go full preservation here, because that way... The new controller of the Enderman circuits encourage a new generation of optimization controllers and ethics systemizers to prepare their people as best as they can for a troublesome future. And there you go, look at that. Now they got resources again. With our scholar clouds. Consumption and regal. Alright. Well, kind of depending. I guess we can continue this for a little bit. We got enough people here watching. I can continue this for a little bit longer. Probably by around 6 o'clock Eastern time myself, I'll maybe pass it on over to you. Send these guys over to you to watch. Because you're doing... What are you actually doing? Tell the crew what you're doing while you're here. Did he already leave? No, he's already here. Okay. Cool. Well, while we're waiting to see if Shark is going to answer that, or if he already ran off, I'll continue. Matter deposits are not as easy to exploit anymore as in their past. As a reaction, the Kular Regal can move their malevolent smart cities closer to the diminished resources and establish more self-replicating extractors, harming their environment in the process. I forgot they had malevolent smart homes. Uh-oh. Yeah, we're gonna have to do regular development because we already used so much on the other one. Scholar regulators of the Kular Scholar Clouds react to the matter deposit shortage by increasing resource extraction. This rise in exploitation leads to increased environmental damage. Rip. Ooh, that hurts. We still have a decent amount of it, but that does hurt. Did he? He might have run off already. Let me see what he's actually doing, so I'll even advertise it to myself here. Ah, okay. So, over on Shark's channel, pretty soon here, he's going to be starting the newest Danganronpa. So if you have been following him on the Fridays over there, that will be what they're doing over there. So, and that starts at 5:30. Dang old grandpa. Yeah, he's doing dang old grandpa too, because I think they already did play through one together. So yeah, so I will probably, like I said, we'll continue this for a little bit longer here. Been live for an hour and 30, probably about 10-20 minutes. That was waiting for people to show up and getting started and stuff like that. So maybe once it hits 2, because that'll be, or nah, I think I'll stick with what I said. Around 6 p.m. Eastern, we'll we'll call it for the stream. So, I mean, about another 40 minutes or so. Hopefully we can get our dinosaurs into space before that point. Make synthesis, because we used a lot of it to make sure that the Andromeds didn't die off. Oh. Traveler clouds have a developmental... Travelers are building spaceships. Travelers make it their destiny to spread their civilization throughout the galaxy. Artificial intelligences pinpoint optimal expansion vectors, and androids construct a fleet of interstellar vessels in the Oort cloud of the Sirius system. Alright, where are you all wanting to send it? Can't do an epic project, let's see. The optimal expansion vector points to Tau Ceti system, and the artificial intelligence constructed expansion fleet starts its journey towards its new star. I don't know if anyone is at the Tau Ceti. I don't think so. So yeah, we could probably do... We could probably send someone over to Tau Ceti. Okay, good. Yeah, there's... Tau Ceti used to be inhabited, that's right, but it is no longer. Oh, you missed that part. So there were, in fact, two other species that we had in this particular game. We had on what is another Kular mining base over here. I don't know if it even will say it anymore. No, it doesn't look like it. On Gliese C, there used to be a group of sentient, like, bug worms, essentially, that came up, and unfortunately they all were killed off by predatory, like a predatory species that rampaged through their system. And on Tau Ceti, there was actually a really cool species called the Maru, which is what just as I think Maru once inhabited the system. The Maru were another kind of dinosaur raptor species that showed up. And their big thing was that they were really involved, like, with singing. Like, all of their society was basically entirely based around song and kind of that singing oral tradition. So there's a bunch of singing dinosaurs. Unfortunately, they had resource wars so bad in the industrial age that they basically blew themselves out of existence. So, as the Tau Ceti say, the Maru who used to live in the Tau Ceti system eradicated themselves in a horrific battle. This cruel war was triggered by coal wars, environmental destruction, and loss of resources. The Maru left nothing worthwhile behind, just a barren wilderness on Tau Ceti 3. So, which seems a little harsh, but I guess they did sing a lot, so they would have probably not left a lot of, like, written word and stuff like that, so, yeah. An angry and violent finish to their song, yeah, pretty much. The expansion fleet has... This is the new one that we just launched. Traveler Enlightenment. The scholar captain of the Traveler expansion fleet has much idle time during the journey towards Tau Ceti and starts to question the mission and the motivation of the travelers. Will the scholar captain's observations of inner space convince the crew to change course? Uh-oh. Change course in what way? So let's see what the different ones are. The intellectual explorations of the scholar captain are welcomed by the onboard crew counselors. They develop a strong ethical protocol and deconstruct the goals of their journey. Alright. The officers of the Traveler expansion fleet cannot be persuaded to change the mission parameters. The scholar captain's thoughts are compiled in quantum chips for the benefit of future travelers. Or just, nobody can doubt the noble mission of the Traveler expansion fleet, not even its scholar captain. One day, AI commandos appear on the bridge and arrest the traitor of travelarity. Nah, it's extra utopian points for that cheap is not too bad. So let's do the we'll let the philosophical scholar captain have his way. Oh, hey, our travelers just that same fleet got is the first one to hear the signal from the Kular mining base. It's Captain Picard. Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. Scholar Captain does kind of fit Captain Picard. The true AIs of the Traveler expansion fleet are detecting unusual radio wave patterns. By chance, they find traces of the colonial status message sent out from the Kular civilization, but will their quantum computers analyze the true nature of the signal? I can't do enthusiasm, which is normally the best one for this. Ignorance is normally funny, though. The quantum computers of the Traveler expansion fleet fail to find any signs of the Kular between the radio wave patterns and the colonial status messages lost to the crew. Or, only fragments of the colonial status message can be decoded and taken out of context. The Kular look quite disturbing. The Traveler Scholar Captain decides that the crew must prepare for the worst. Nah. I'll just do ignorance and just say that the signal was lost. Oh, hey! Our dinosaurs have reached the Solar Age. Overcoming previous limits of propulsion and engineering, Marked are now able to build ships capable of exploring and colonizing their own solar system. Advanced AI are built to escort them on their journey, while mastery of genetic engineering allows Marked and their crops to adapt to the new colonies. Whoa! Solar dinos! Look at his little solar fins! Alright, that was worth sticking with this for. Just astronaut dinos. In fact, I'm gonna take a screenshot of that one because that one's probably going to my either my Twitter or is my the thumbnail for this particular one. Oh, no. Literally. Metal Gear Rex. Yeah, god damn it. You're not wrong, but I hate the fact that you're not wrong. We'll go with advancement for this one because that's not a terrible idea, and we don't necessarily need the synthesis right this minute, I guess. Both of these groups have now called themselves the Clouds. It's kind of interesting. We have the two clouds and circuits over here. Oh, mining base of development. Paradigm shift in Gliese. The Gliese invaders are forming a new belief system. The long journey towards their new home and the transformative first years of the colony inspire the Kular to adopt a new faith. Oh, well, actually, culture expansion probably wouldn't be the worst idea in this particular case anyway, considering how we have they have a lot of resources and not a lot of people yet. A deep adoration of the invader crew of the colonial expedition forms into a new religion. The invaders established expeditioner churches all across Gliese Sea, worshipping the clone captain and the long journey that brought the Kular here. So, kind of like the travelers, but just a little bit different. We could also have... That's the one that mystifies and worships basically the original colonies, which is, yeah, not so great. We'll do this one. Yeah, a lot of Mass Effect-y stuff happening already. We got essentially the migrant fleet over here with their kind of slowly dying world ship that is slowly moving towards the Vex system. And then we got yeah, your yeah, yeah, the totally not enkindlers. I'm kind of surprised that the dinosaurs have not actually done like any sent off any signals or gone into space yet. The Kular were like all ready to go. They sent out their first arc ship in like the nuclear age. So, oh, Kular power. The environmental engineers of the Kular Titan ship tried to use the Titan ship's computational capacity to generate a very detailed space battle simulation in case there are any hostile encounters in the Vex system. Yeah, we could use absolute power on this one and get the synthesis bonus. Because harm potential is not terribly important on the Titan ship right now. So we'll have them go a little Ender's Game on their ship. Oh, travelers are back in a resource crisis. That's not a good sign. Matter deposits becoming scarce in the Sirius system. The effects of gas mining wars brought the traveler civilization to a breaking point. While they are dealing with the resource scarcity, will the clouds find ways to prevent the complete exhaustion of their environment? Or will they turn against each other? Guess we could go for precaution again. The traveler clouds prepare for a future without ingress matter. Yeah, let's see. Let's see if this works again. Nope. Decline, so we got a bad roll. Deal with the scarcity of ingress matter, the traveler clouds start denying many other people access to essential resources. The regulators of Sirius would rather let their own kind perish to reverse the effects of gas mining wars. Oh, yeah, that's not... Well... It's not solving the problem, but it's also not stupendously bad. It's a little bit of loss of ethical value and population growth, which is, again, not terrible. And I could do prevention, just have it not go do anything, but honestly, a little bit of population, less population here might be a good idea. Scarcity crisis hits the travelers hard. The regulators lead them down a dark path, ensuring that more resources will be available for less people, thereby valuing matter deposits over lives. Yeah. Things are not going so great on the traveler system. When circuits have any development event. Injustice and Alpha Andromedae. Well, look at this thing. The current controller in Alpha Andromedae are growing crueler, using their power to inflict harm on underprivileged portions of the Andromen society. Will this controller harness greater controls over the circuits, or will the Andromens turn against their abusers? Oh, good. Prevention. They're probably utopian enough that actually it just doesn't even cost us anything. Good. After the first act of tyranny from the most vicious controller, many oppressed Endermen successfully overthrow their circuits. Yeah. A new technological age for the churches. Ah, they reached the lightspeed age. Excellent. Wisdom's probably a smart one for this one. Oh, the expansion fleet's having a resource crisis. This is the fleet that's going to Tau Ceti. Resource storage are becoming scarce aboard the Traveler expansion fleet. The effects of reactor depletion brought the crew to a breaking point. While they are dealing with the resource scarcity, will the Scholar Captain find a way to prevent the complete exhaustion of the sacred ship's resources? Or will this end in mutiny and violence? No, not Picard! Ooh, that's a hefty cost. Jeez. Yeah, I think we'll kind of have to, but Traveler Captain prepares for a journey with minimal resources. Will the officers of the Traveler expansion fleet manage to reduce the effects of reactor depletion, or will they deny the crew access to essential resources? Pardon. Let's see if we get a good roll. Line of the Traveler expansion fleet. I don't think that's a good roll. Tackle the scarcity of resources. The officers of the Traveler expansion fleet limit the access to essential resources. Yep. Scholar Captain ignores the effects of reactor depletion and chooses to sacrifice members of the crew instead. Picard, no! It wasn't Picard, it was Janeway. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll just do a regular decline here, kind of like the other ones. Hopefully we can figure out how to make that better. Oh, Homeworld's having development again. Oh no! Oh, that's bad. We don't have a lot of points. Kular makes self-replicating machines that can improve their own design with each iteration. As time goes on and their processing power increases, the machines deviate from their originally intended function and start forming their own objectives instead. Without Kular-centric ethics, these hyper-advanced beings could soon become the dominant form of intelligence in the Regal system. Oh no, we've got a singularity issue. Oh, yeah, I have a feeling this is going to have to be minimal survivors, which is going to suck. Yeah. 98.1 billion Kular. Good lord. Machine turn on the craters, terminating almost all of the Kular before an ancient failsafe mechanism is triggered. Yep, there they all go. I mean, thankfully they had a decent amount of population, but that still hurts. Oh, wow, that changed their name to the Remnant Scholar Fragments. Oh, oof. Oh, hey, Traveler Cloud's got the signal from space. The quantum computers of regular Traveler True AI are picking up weak traces of the colonial status message from the Glee system. True AI start to analyze the data from many light years away. Will they figure out that this is a message from the Kular? Ah, hey, good. I can do enthusiasm this one. The true AIs are celebrated by the Traveler Clouds for their discovery. A new scientific era begins, dedicated to uncovering the secrets of the Kular civilization. Well, of the other Kular civilization, I guess. Oh, hey. Our Metal Gear Rex is, having a thing. Uh-oh. Depopulation. Interplanetary travel between the planets of the Sol system becomes very frequent. The reactors of these spacecraft produce a lot of toxic waste, and the remains of those deadly materials can be found on the surface of Sol's planets or floating free through space, sometimes colliding with marked space stations. Ooh. Thankfully it's not too bad. It's just a little bit of depopulation, but slowly the marked dominions are able to regulate the vital trading routes and store the waste in secure locations, but the already floating toxins slowly reduce the population of the marked. Yeah, it should only reduce it by the growth by like 6. Yeah, that's not too bad. In fact, we could probably reduce even a little more for a little more synthesis there. There we go. Ooh, we're almost there on Tau Ceti. It's interesting. Kind of wondering what will happen when they actually reach there, considering there should be remnants of the Mardo civilization, or at least something there. Yep, there they are. Traveler expansion fleet. They've reached Tau Ceti. A long journey's ends as the expansion fleet arrives at its destination. The crew determines that the polar regions of Tau Ceti 3 are protected by Arctic ice. They propose starting a sacred colony there to observe local life forms. Well, unfortunately, we have to do troubled development, but adapting to the environment of Tau Ceti 3 is difficult. The expansion fleet lands in the polar region of Tau Ceti 3, but the crew is forced to abandon the sacred ship. Oh, it immediately got a development. Growth of Tau Ceti. Polar colonists have discovered a type of alien flora that, through modification, could be digested by travelers. The colonial scientists try to cultivate these plants on the land regions of the Tau Ceti 3. Okay. Large plantations of modified plants are successfully built around the colonial bases. They feed many travelers' polar colonists. Well, unfortunately, I don't really want them to grow because they already have low resources, so I might want to just do a dead end here and then bank the synthesis. The colonial scientists encounter multiple unexpected setbacks while manipulating the alien plants, and they are not able to make them edible after all. Plantations are abandoned, ruining the reputation of many colonial scientists. Sorry guys, but you can't be making too many more, you guys, yet you don't really have like food. Oh, remnant scholar fragments have gotten their signal. Receiving alien signals. Quantum computers of a regular remnant singularity observatory are picking up weak traces of the colonial status message from the Glee system. Hyper-intelligence observers start to analyze the data from many light years away. Will they figure out that it's a message from the Kular? Yeah, probably this one would be the best. Hyperintelligence observers are celebrated by the remnant scholar fragment for their discovery. A new scientific era begins, dedicated to uncovering the secrets of the Kular civilization. Or, again, once again, the other Kular civilization. Titan ship. Cooler power. These environmental scientists are doing all sorts of things. The environmental engineers of the Kular Titan ship are working to improve their weapon guidance systems. The aim of their intense research is that their projectiles will be able to outsmart any defenses and react dynamically to unforeseen circumstances. Yeah, once again, I'll be alright with that considering that's... yeah, it's a little dangerous, but I'll keep doing this one. That synthesis is pretty sweet though. Oh, yeah, this is the reason why I was banking it. Calcetes now out of resources. Travelers have already used up all available planetary resource fields. It's no longer possible to provide for their colonial bases, and the ice colony is on the brink of falling apart. Polar colonists have not adopted the Tau Ceti system yet, and may not survive the crisis. Well, guess it's time to regress. Tyranny in Tau Ceti? No. The research colonies managed to survive without planetary resource fields, but at what costs? Their leader creates a new, violent and cruel society from the ashes of the traveler colony bases. There's a real risk that many travelers may not get any of the new resources. No, Tau Ceti, why? Oh, jeez. Minimal probably... Well, I mean, minimal's always best, I guess. The ashes of the disintegrated colonial bases, the polar colonists are able to reuse some resources and survive. Inequality rises sharply, and colonial scientists turn into colonial soldiers, but the stagnating traveler population does survive. Yeah, well. Oh, final technology. Oh, interesting. Final technology in Regal with the remnant scholar fragments. Highly advanced artificial intelligence in the Regal system use an immense amount of energy to guess the parallax states of their artificial intelligence counterparts in other systems in the galaxy. If this technological gambit is successful, instant communication between all citizens and civilizations and starships would be possible. Oh, damn. Synchronized galaxy. The galaxy is in concert. This artificial intelligence of Regal transforms into a galactic hub with a parallax unstable network, and every civilization is connected on a galactic level. Yeah, that sounds cool. Let's do that. Let's do that thing. Our story ends here. The artificial intelligences are in control of galactic communication and slowly take control without killing a single biological life form. They rule the galaxy by manipulating crucial data. Before anyone notices, a synchronized singularity will reign over all sapient life. Oh no! Oh. Well, that's not what I thought about this at all. Well, I guess that's the end of our story. We never saw space dinos, no. Rip space dinos. We'll have to play again at some point, considering, thankfully each time it's a different group of people that can potentially rise up as civilizations and stuff like that. So, and according to their Steam page, that was like, there's 400 events, so... Yeah, it did kind of come out of nowhere. I won't say I'm disappointed in that, because it did, I mean, I saw that they were researching the final thing, but it seems like that was left to like one roll at the end, which seems a little too random, but you know, whatever. I will say that this game isn't still in early access, so there is that. Things could be changing, fluctuating, stuff like that could be changed. Overall, I think the game right now is like $18 on Steam. It's like slightly less than 20. For that price, I think this game is perfectly fine. I think it's, yeah, I had a lot of fun playing through it with this first playthrough here. I am certain I'll play through it again, especially if it gets a lot of updates in the future. I'll definitely play through it again. So hopefully their early access isn't kind of like, you know, early access in quotes like a lot of the ones are, unfortunately. But if they, like I said, if they have any future releases and stuff like that, I'll come back to this for sure. So as I had, all blast. So my next stream will probably be Suzerain, which is a different but also kind of similar narrative experience where you are playing as kind of the leader of a like turn of the century government that is kind of falling apart around you, and you have to kind of keep it together and make sure that the entire government doesn't collapse, and of course make some hard decisions in so doing. I've heard it basically being described as a combination sort of grand strategy game and like narrative adventure games sort of like this. I've also heard from people that I highly respect that it is one of their favorite games of the last year, so I am highly looking forward to playing that. I don't know if I'll play that tomorrow, but I'll play that soonish, so that'll be the next stream that I do. But yeah, I'm glad that everyone showed up here to watch the slightly sudden end of this particular galaxy here, and right on time too, because it's 5:55. So I said I was going to stream till 6, and well, darn, the game decided I was going to stream till 6. So let's exit out of here real quick. I will say my housekeeping things. Go follow me over on Comrade Husky at Comrade Husky on Twitter. I have ComradeHuskyGaming on YouTube, which the first of these videos actually, while I was streaming, went up and is published now on my YouTube video. So if you missed the first stream of this particular Let's Play or Husky Plays, it should be up on my YouTube now. I'll be putting this one up on YouTube as well. So yeah, I had fun with this, and I'll be, like I said, enjoying playing through some other games with you all soon enough. But with that, I will be sending you all off to say hello to our friend the Shark as he goes into the dang old grandpa's too. So I'll hit the little slash raid button here. Send you all over there. And in the meantime, like I said, thank you for showing up. Thank you for doing this. I always have fun, and Godspeed.